Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'll be showing you guys my first ever time at the Buckmore Park karting circuit. This session is actually an assessment for the RT10 karts to be able to drive in the local junior karting championship at the track. However, I don't think I'll be regularly going to that championship as I live 4 hours away from the track, so I don't think it will be really possible. Because I'm the only driver who hasn't been at this track before, they have to do a mandatory safety kart sort of a lap around the track, just so I get to know the layout and get to know the feel of the karts before jumping into the practice session. The format for this event will be a 15-minute practice session and then a 15-minute race, which is a rolling start. The positions in the race are completely random picked and have nothing to do with previous experience here or your practice session. I have nothing more to say, so I'm just going to skip ahead to the part where we start actually driving. Okay then, now it's time to start our very first proper lap around Buckmore Park. Going into that hairpin, I probably could have sent it on the driver ahead, but I was so hesitant to make any overtakes at this point due to it being my first ever lap around here. Going to turn 1, I again probably could have sent it on the driver ahead, but I was just not there with confidence yet again, even though it's quite a wide track. As well as that, going through the first hairpin here, we get our first spinner of the day, where I suppose someone pressed the brakes too hard and just spun themselves out. I get a bad run going into the flat out section of the track, so I lose a lot of time to the driver ahead. However, I gain all that speed back right through the section and then send it on this corner here. I get a nice double overtake due to the fact that the driver ahead also went wide, so he couldn't really cover me off. At this point, I'm just looking to get faster lap times and learn the track, so when I look behind and see the driver in the red still really close behind me, I decide to let him through into the flat out section so I can try maybe learning some of his lines and getting faster myself. We are also catching up to 2 other drivers, so this could be a nice opportunity to just practice overtaking a little bit more. The driver in red sends a move at this hairpin here, but the driver in the green helmet is able to get the cutback, so they're side by side going to the second hairpin, allowing me to follow the driver in the red and also overtake the driver in the green helmet. In the top left of your screen, you can see that he thinks about going for a move going to the flats out section, but thinks better of it as I have quite a lot of momentum compared to him. Now my goal is just to keep up with the driver in red helmet, and maybe even overtake him a little bit later in the session. Okay then, we have now actually caught up to another driver who has quite a colourful helmet, so let's see if we can overtake them. Currently we're a bit too far away, but he thinks about sending a move on the red suit guy, so I'm hoping that'll slow him down. And coming out the first turns, I'm already nearly in the back of them, then going into the first hairpin, he leaves you space, and I take it. Driver on the red suit had a bad exit, so I'm alongside going into the second hairpin. I try to get a better exit, but it doesn't work out, so I'm just right in the back of them going into the flat out section. Through that section I lost a lot of time, but here I gained most of it back as I had a much better exit. Coming out of guard I have a much better exit, allowing me to go right past him through this left-hander. Now that we've got past him, we have some clean air to put in some laps and try to improve my lines as much as possible. Okay then, now that our 15 minutes of practice are up, the yellow flags come out and we are set to be put into a line where the marshals can then line us up in our grid positions, which then we would be going around a shortened lap of the track in our grid positions and then start the race in a rolling start. As we line up here, the marshals will then call us up in our grid positions to line us up again in our grid positions. I don't think you can see him, but on the left from the cafe, my dad also signalling to me that I had actually gone fastest lap in the practice session. This was quite a surprise to me because, well, I have never been to this track before, and I think everyone else who was at this session this day has been to this track before. I was expecting to be quite off pace with most of them, so the fact that I had fastest lap was quite a surprise to me. Now that we have gotten to our grid position, we can see that we are 8th in the race. Now that we know what grid position we are, I'm going to skip ahead to the rolling start. Alright then, as we're coming around Cafe Curve in our grid positions, I am making a mistake by not sticking to the back of the driver ahead. For some reason, I'm leaving half a kart length between me and the driver ahead on the start. This means I don't get a great start and there's already a gap between me and the ones ahead. Luckily that gap closes really quick and I have to brake so I don't hit into the back of the driver ahead. After that I decide to go to the outside of the track to try and go around the drivers as they are going really slow on the inside. It somewhat works but not quite, but I do have the inside line for the next hairpin. This allows me to send it on this group of drivers and overtake both of the people who I was clumped up with. Now that I've gained 2 positions, all that's left to do is try and keep up and catch up with the drivers ahead. Because the gap between me and the driver ahead is quite minimal, I'm hoping that there will be an opportunity to overtake him even on this lap. And that door seems to open right in front of my eyes as I get a good run out of paddock and have a lot of speed going into Garda, meaning I'm able to try and overtake the driver ahead. Unfortunately, however, the other driver is also able to stick around the outside, meaning I'm not able to make the move stick right here. Because of this altercation between me and the driver in cart number 18, the drivers behind me have caught up quite a bit, and the drivers ahead of us have also got a bit of a gap to us. When the driver number 18 goes wide and gets a bad exit out of turn 2, I'm able to slide it up the inside going into the hairpin 1. Just like before, the gap between me and the driver in P3 was quite a bit larger than this, so the fact that they're fighting is really good for me. Now in the same place as the lap before, I have yet again closed up quite a bit to the drivers ahead here. In addition to that, the fact that the driver number 1 sends a move on the driver number 14 also helps me as I'm able to get the kart back and overtake both of them going into the flat out section. Going through paddock, I mess it up a little bit and get a bad exit, so I'm a bit worried that someone from behind will go up my inside at Garda. This means I will move over to the inside line just to make sure no one passes me at Garda. This works, and I now remain in P2. At this point in time, the camera cuts out a little bit, so just bear with it. Okay, now, if you're interested, some sort of action will be happening in the top left corner where it shows some part of what is behind me, so if you're interested, you can watch that part here. Coming into paddock, I mess up the entry, so that loses me a lot of time. I feel like I also took a bit too much curb at Garda, meaning my kart jumps up a little bit and makes me lose a lot of time going out of the corner. This is important because that corner is the last one before a very long flat out section. On this lap, I have P3 right behind me going to sign sweep, but I get a good entry into paddock and a good exit out of paddock going up to Garda, meaning I lose him on this section here. As for Garda, which is the important corner, I feel like I still take a bit too much curb, however it's not as bad as the last lap, which allows me to still get a good exit and pull a little bit of a gap to P3. Going to turn 1, I take way too much curb on entry, which means that I lose a lot of time by bouncing and sliding through the corner. This means that even though they're fighting and there's a new P3 now, he was already able to catch up to right on the back of me. This is shown when I am completely oblivious to his presence at hairpin 2 and he tries to go up my inside. Luckily he failed and I kept my position. At Gada here, you can see that the battle between P3 and P4 is still ongoing, as P4 tries to send an overtake on P3 at this corner here. However, he fails, so positions remain unchanged. Meanwhile, driver in kart number 1 somehow gets a mega run coming out of Cafe Curve and into turn 1, so he nearly decides to send it on me into turn 1, but decides against it. I don't know if he's just light or what. What I noticed is that the section going into Paddock and coming out of it into Gada is probably my weakest section compared to the drivers behind me. I noticed this due to the fact that the guy in kart number 1 is right on my back again, even though I had a nice gap coming out of the 2 hairpins. Luckily this time round their battle lasted longer, so kart number 1 isn't right on the back of me going into turn 1. The theory of mine that section 2 is my weakest one is further emphasized by the fact that, yet again, the 2 behind me are right on my back going into Gada. And I think for the 3rd time in a row, the guy with kart number 18 tries the same overtake again. And for the 3rd or 4th time, again, it fails. If I was him, maybe I tried sending it into Paddock or getting some momentum and speed going to turn 1 or one of the hairpins. Either way, their battle is benefiting me greatly, and I am very thankful for that. Finally, the driver in the black and orange suit tries an overtake at hairpin 1 instead of just Gada, allowing him to overtake the guy with the kart number 1. However, now he is also being swarmed by 2 other drivers who are getting into the mix. But due to the fact that nothing more really happens right now, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Okay then, it is now the end of the session, end of the race, meaning I officially finish in P2. Unfortunately, however, this was just a practice race, so there are no podiums, meaning, yeah, it doesn't mean much. I have also now dropped from having 1st fastest lap time to 4th fastest lap time, which was a 49.8. I have no idea if that's fast or not, so if you know, let me know in the comments. The fastest lap of the whole session was a 49.5. Also, these are RT10 karts, so I have no idea how it compares to other karts lap times. Anyway, overall, I thought that Buckmore Park is a great, really fun circuit. I really enjoyed driving here, and I liked the layout quite a bit. I most definitely will be trying to come here for some sessions before and after the SRK Round 8, which will be held here. As well as that, I really appreciate you watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please consider giving it a like and subscribing to this channel. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you have a good day.